Hey guys, Jason Scudolero with Classic Truck Performance, and behind me is our 98 Tahoe, and it's about time for some brakes. What did I do? Well, I sat down, went to AutoZonePro.com, ordered me up the parts, and had them delivered here at the shop. Starting up front, we got our rotors, bearings, seals, pads, and line kit. And in the rear, we got our drums, shoes, and adjuster kit up there. What do I like about the Duralast parts? Will they meet or exceed your OEM specs? Well, it's about enough of me talking. About time we got the parts off the table and onto our Tahoe. These 88 to 98 Tahoes are considered OBSs, and it's funny, I'm old enough to remember when they were new, and it's one of the first hot rod jobs I had was taking these brand new ones and lowering them and doing all the color matching and billet grills and stuff. Well, now they're classics and coming back around and are very popular, so it'll be cool. This one, we've already lowered it and stuff, and obviously body matched everything, but now we're starting on some brakes and just kind of going through the whole thing. So another thing we've done to this truck before we had it painted is we switched over to the cowl hood, something we would have done back in the day when this thing was new. So the only thing we've really touched on this thing as far as brakes goes, we put a new master on here. So the fluid up top is going to be probably pretty clean, but I still want to take this opportunity to flush the whole system out and replace all the fluid. You know, again, I don't know when the last time the fluid had been changed, if ever. So good opportunity to do that. Right now I'm going to drain the fluid here, at least take what I can out of the reservoir. That way when I pull the lines off, we don't have a huge mess as it continues to drip. First thing we're going to do is remove the caliper, and I'm going to hang it here on the side of the frame rail for now. There we go. These are in really good shape also, so I won't be replacing those. All right, there we go. Yeah, those pads definitely have seen better days, but they're not horrible. They're just worn out. Go ahead and take off the two nuts that are holding the brake line to the control arm. There we go. So it's not only fastened there, it actually has a little clip here that holds the brake line and the ABS wire, so be careful you don't yank on that ABS wire and break it. All right, with that done, I'm just going to let the caliper rest here on the control arm. Go ahead and pull the rotor off. Go ahead and pull the bearing. Geez, there's hardly any grease left in these bearings, so definitely going to replace those. Back here is the ring for your ABS, and the new rotors have, you know, exactly the same thing on there. No reason you can pull this bearing or seal out since we're not going to reuse the rotor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break the line loose on the caliper. That way we can let it kind of drip into this pan instead of trying to pull it up on the frame rail and it would follow the frame rail down and drip. Probably make a pretty big mess. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and pack the bearings. What I like to do is to kind of get a scoop and then just start working it in to the actual bearing. All right, so there's no reason to use the races that are supplied with the bearings. They're already pressed into the rotors. Go ahead and put that in there, and we'll put the seal on. And I just like to lightly tap around there until it's flush. All right, go ahead and clean it up, and we'll pack the front bearing, install it onto the car. Yep. So I went ahead and cleaned the spindle pin and applied a little grease to that, so we can go ahead and put the rotor on. The washer, which has got the little tang on that, keeps them from spinning. And then the nut. And now that these are freshly packed bearings, we don't want to over tighten this nut, but we certainly want to make sure it is tight enough. So I start wrenching it down. As it stops, I turn the rotor, because what that's going to do is spread out the grease inside there, and you'll see how easy it turns again, even though it's filling tight. And what I like to do is get it snug and then just back it off a little bit so you can put a cotter pin in there. Be good to go. Go ahead and move over to the caliper. First, we're going to replace this line here now that it's hopefully finished dripping, but I'm going to just put a towel under it just in case. Go ahead and pull the brake line clip off first. I'm going to start back up here with the new line. Get that snug. Route this back through. Secure the bracket, and we'll go ahead and put the caliper on. All right, so Duralast has a bunch of different brake pads. We're actually going to be using the Duralast Severe Duty pads. They actually come with this bernstein stripe here. It's designed for quick pad to rotor break-in. These are designed for trucks, a little heavier payload. So let's get these onto the calipers and installed on the truck. Well, since there is no brake line on here, I should be able to push the piston back in by hand. There's that one. Your sensor goes on the one direction, which I just matched up with the pad I took off. All right. So the brake pads have 2 shims. This keeps it much quieter, and they're powder coated for protection. So let's go ahead and get that on there. I've already put a little bit of grease on my pins. Got the caliper secure. We'll go ahead and put the other end of the brake line on. Be sure to put new copper washers on there. That will prevent it from leaking. I went ahead and already cleaned the banjo bolt. And we'll go ahead, put it back on the caliper. All right, so that wraps up the front. We're gonna move onto the rear and take that drum off there and check out the shoes. We got all the new replacements parts, so let's get started. There we go. A little bit of groove in there, so it's all right. We'll go ahead and knock this apart. We didn't need wheel cylinders. I didn't have anything leaking, so we'll go ahead and use these wheel cylinders. I'm just getting a lot of this brake dust and grime out of here before I pull it apart and make a really big mess. When servicing drum setups, it's always good to have a few tools. These are all made for drums. This takes the little clips off. This one here is so you can adjust your drum. This is to help you take springs off, and this side to help you to put springs on. And a lot of times you can't use it on a lot of setups, but it's not a bad investment to have these if you are doing drums every now and then. There you go. Don't lose any of these because we are going to reuse this stuff. There you go. And that kind of releases the top. And we come down here. Here's your other spring right here, which comes right off. There's a little clip back here we're going to take to get the e-brake setup undone. All right, so it's time to reassemble everything. It's very important you put this e-brake on the right side. Put the clip on there. Go ahead and put this shoe back on. There you go. And that wraps around on this side here. All right, so I applied a little bit of grease to the adjuster. I'm gonna wind it down. It's got this little retainer clip here, and then the other side, which that locks it into place. And back together. There we go. That fits nice. There you go. There's that one. That all looks nice and smooth, nothing's rubbing, everything looks good. Okay, we'll go ahead and put our adjuster in there. And then this spring, be sure you put it on the back side, not on the front side. It's in. Go ahead and grab the other end, stretch it over, just like so, and there you go. Now our adjuster is locked and loaded, and put the drum on, and these are self-adjusting brakes, which makes it nice. We'll get it close though. I'll pull the drum on and off a few times so I know we got some decent contact with the shoes to the drum. All right, we'll go ahead and see where we're at. Right there, it's really loose. So we'll go ahead and start adjusting it out a little. There you go. All right, we got one side down. We're gonna move over to the other side, get the wheels off, get that side done, then we can lower it, put some brake fluid in there, bleed the brakes out. Hopefully by then we put the wheels back on and get it on the road. All right, so that wraps up our brake job, front and rear, all new fluid. Duralast parts came in nice and handy and bolted on as they should. So when you're ready to, well, get your brakes or anything else done, visit your local AutoZone or head over to AutoZonePro.com, order them up, and have them delivered.